tournament.
Well, when you look at the two of them there, there's not a great deal to choose between them. In terms of experience, really, there's not a great deal to choose between them either. McCullagh has got the greater pedigree of the two, but as we've mentioned, Najib really just has nothing to lose. Ryan Rhodes, we had a long chat with him, his trainer, last night, and he was full of praise for his man about how professional he is and how gratifying it is to have someone who can take these kinds of short notice opportunities, because you need to be able to at this level.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for quarterfinal number 1 of our Golden Contract, scheduled for 10 rounds in a featherweight contest. Your referee at the bell, Mr. Michael Alexander from Doncaster, and your timekeeper, Mr. Stephen Pucci of Milton Keynes. Your 3 judges scoring the contest: Howard Foster from Doncaster, Marcus MacDonald from Twickenham, and Bob Williams from Watford. And now, introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, he officially weighed in at 8 stone 13 pounds and 6 ounces, with a professional record of 11 wins, 2 by way of knockout and 3 losses. Tonight he wears the red and white trunks from Sheffield, Yorkshire. Please welcome Razaq Lionheart Najib. And introducing his opponent across the ring in the blue corner, he officially weighed in at 8 stone 13 pounds and 8 ounces, with a professional record of 13 wins, 6 by way of knockout and no losses. Tonight he wears the red, black and white pandas from Derry, Ireland. Please welcome Tyrone White Chocolate McCullagh. Referee will now give his final instructions to the boxers.
Right, lads, you both know the rules, so let's just have a good, clean fight, okay? Most of all, remember to defend yourselves at all times, all right? Touch gloves.
Michael Alexander, the referee, and there could be an important role for referees throughout this tournament. We can't have draws, of course, so if the 3 judges ringside do return a draw, then the referee will get the casting vote. And we also have a bonus on offer for victories by way of stoppage. If you get one tonight, then you bag £5,000. If you manage to do it again in the semi-finals, that will give you £7,500. Complete the hat trick, and in the final you'll earn £12,500. So £25,000 in total if you can pull off 3 stoppages in a row.
Round 1.
But it's just about the W. That's what it's always about. But particularly in tournament boxing, you just need to progress to the next stage. So we've got Razaq Najib here in the red and white, boxing out of the orthodox stance, and Tyrone McCullagh in those panda shorts with white chocolate on the front. He is the southpaw. Carlos Araujo is here. He is at ringside. And good to see him here. Very unfortunate for him yesterday not to be able to take part, but it wasn't for lack of trying, that's for sure. Decent looking 1-2 there from McCullagh early on.
Najib being the aggressor, he's took the centre of the ring, he's trying to push McCullagh back, looking for the straight right hand to the body. McCullagh just trying to keep it at distance, looking for the nice 1-2 down the middle. Decent amateur McCullagh, well schooled, looking for those straight shots early on.
On the Celtic title super bantamweight with a good win against Joe Ham. Another good win against Josh Kennedy for the WBO European. That's at 122 pounds, but stepping up to featherweight, as I said, no problem for him. Just looking to jab to the body.
A nice 1-2 again down the middle from McCullagh. His accuracy is good already.
That fight against Carlos Ramos for Najib came in the summer. He was competitive for the first half of that, and then in the second half, towards the end of it certainly, he was looking to get through to the bell. Never really looked like he wouldn't do that. That's a good lead right hand there from McCullagh, who's having a tidy opening round here. Najib, as you said, Matt, looking to get onto the front foot. He's just been caught a little bit too much early on.
Yeah, he's been aggressive, but his defences are a little bit too leaky, and McCullagh picking him off.
1-2 that time from McCullagh, just slipped over the shoulder of Najib, but then just pivoting around that front foot, McCullagh disappeared away to his right.
Najib applying a lot of pressure, but his defence is letting him down here in the first round.
The final few seconds of round 1, 1-2 again there from McCullagh. Didn't land, or, well, it did, but right towards the end of its journey, so not a great deal on it by the time it got there, but still they're scoring shots. A little bit of a stumble there from McCullagh. First round in the books, and it was a good round for Tyrone McCullagh. He found his range with that 1-2 fairly quickly.
Round 2.
So into the second round, Razaq Najib, who stepped in at short notice in the red and white, but he was always down to fight on this card. He had a bout scheduled against Jacob Robinson. And we talk about Cinderella Man stories. We've got the ultimate Cinderella Man in the house tonight in Steve Robinson. Shining example of what could be done if you stay in shape and take a fight at short notice when he won that WBO featherweight title. And Najib, I'm sure, will be looking to draw a bit of inspiration from those kinds of stories. He needs to try and get a foothold into this. At the moment, McCullagh's just pivoting on that front foot well, keeping him moving, keeping him turning, making it difficult for him to apply effective pressure here, which is what he's trying to do.
Yeah, well, he's applying the pressure, he's putting a lot into this, a lot of effort coming from Najib, but his defences are letting him down. He's getting caught, he's getting picked off. His technical ability, the superior technical ability of McCullagh, just picking him off really. So he's got to be a bit more thoughtful, Najib. It's all right, you want to apply the pressure, you don't want to be so reckless that you get picked off. Again, that nice 1-2 down the middle from the southpaw.
Slightly messy at times. Najib does come in leading with his head a touch.
Again, getting picked off at distance. This is at this pace, at this distance. McCullagh's going to be too good for Najib. He's got to try and get close. He's got to stay close, work the body at distance. He's getting picked off.
Lead hand, the jab hand there, the right from McCullagh, just catching Najib on the way in. He's got to try and move his head to get into distance. He is moving his head at times, but sometimes he's starting it a little bit too far out, and the movement's really finished by the time he gets into range. And McCullagh, with some nifty footwork there too, is looking nice and sharp and accurate in the opening stages.
Yeah, plenty of aggression from Najib, but not really landing anything effective, just getting caught with those straight shots down the middle from McCullagh.
Well, that's Carlos Araujo, Mexican fighter, who couldn't make the weight yesterday. He was taken ill, and it's enormously disappointing for him, having been given this kind of opportunity, that he was unable to take part, but it's just good to see him well. And here's the man who took his place, Razaq Najib. As I said, he got the call as he was on the way down the train at Ryan Road, so not too long to think about this. But having said that, none of them have had too long to think about it, because the draw was made on Tuesday, and that's one of the things that makes this different. It's one of the things that makes this interesting. The dynamic at the draw was kind of fascinating. Good left hand on the inside there from Najib, lands his first meaningful blow of the fight. Really, he's still looking to come forward and rough McCullagh up and get onto the inside if he can. And he's got to keep doing it, hasn't he? And hope at some point McCullagh maybe tires a little bit, or he just starts to get to him.
Yeah, he's got to try and...
Right hand landed there from Najib, decent shot.
He's got to hope that McCullagh slows down, that his legs tired, that he can pin him against the ropes. But at the minute, he's getting picked off at range and he's lunging forward, and McCullagh catching him quite easily with the straight shots. But you know, this is a fair old pace that Najib is forcing on McCullagh, and he's doing a lot of movement. Hasn't landed anything of any weight that's deterred Najib. Doesn't look like he's had the power to hurt him, not from what we've seen so far. Maybe if he can land some body shots, and he's looking to go downstairs now, McCullagh.
Najib just looking to fake with that front foot a bit. Didn't draw anything from McCullagh, who every now and again is just getting too close and shutting his own space down the touch. Keeping that distance between him and Najib is not an easy thing to do, but he's done it well enough to land those jabs and land some decent looking 1-2s, which will have caught the eyes of the judges, and that's what's winning in the fight so far. Again, another jab just lands there. When you're landing punches from the outside, they're very easy for judges at ringside to see.
I mean, McCullagh's clearly outlanding, out-punching, outscoring Najib. I'd like to see him stand his ground, and not stand his ground and fight, but maybe just hold his feet a little bit, plant his feet and get a bit more power in these shots. He's very flighty, constantly up on his toes, looking to move, but I'd like to see him maybe just settle down, maybe not so much movement, and just dig in and plant your feet and put a bit more power into some of these shots, because Najib defences are wide open, and I do feel that McCullagh could land some hard shots here.
Bit clumsy that from Najib as he came forward, and McCullagh is able to avoid those kinds of advances quite comfortably. And that's where it gets a little bit messy. McCullagh will step in, but Najib will step in at the same time, and they'll end up on each other's shoulder. Decent clubbing right hand there from Najib at the end of the round. So they're giving that a little bit of attention. It is slight, and any blood is going to run clear of the eye, so it's not a big problem.
Round 4.
Maybe from a clash of heads, a touch of bruising just coming up underneath it and suggests that that's possibly the case, and every now and again they do come together in exactly that kind of exchange. McCullagh with the jab catches Najib on the way in. He's not hurt him at any point though, and Najib will just have to keep this pressure up.
I think the problem for McCullagh not generating any power is because of he's constantly up on his toes. He's constantly looking to get out of distance even before he's landed the shot. So he's not able to generate power. He needs solid foundation. He needs to be able to plant your feet to generate the power, and he's not doing that. I mean, it's good movement early on, and he's kicking off and he's winning the rounds. But Najib is quite open. You know, McCullagh landing at will at times. I'd like to see him kind of settle down a bit now with his movement, plant his feet, and really looks for some power shots here, because Najib is wide open for them.
Najib with a kind of right hand lead there, just going after his man, and McCullagh happy to just keep this movement going. He's done the 10 rounds in his previous 3 fights, so he'll be very confident he can cover that distance and win the rounds and put the win in his pocket here. That left to the body there, McCullagh. He's not really managed to make a dent in Najib so far, but he's winning these sessions, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he's winning them easily in terms of punches landed, but Najib is forcing the pace. He is pressuring McCullagh, and he'll be hoping that this pace will get to him. I think McCullagh should be settling down a bit, not just looking for the hard shots down the middle, but planting his feet and trying to drive that straight left into the body of Najib, trying to dig in some body shots.
The right hand there, McCullagh, as he was moving away to his right. Straight left hand down the middle, caught Najib. And there's that jab again, lead hook almost, as he just spins away. Good movement again there from McCullagh. Uses that front foot well, works around that clock face. He's a very difficult target to catch.
Yeah, I mean, Najib is the angle fighter, but McCullagh's the awkward opponent in there. He's got a difficult style, he's constantly moving, very difficult to pin down. And Najib, not your typical switch-hitting Brendan Ingle fighter, is trying to come forward, trying to walk in, quite novice and raw really, getting picked off here by McCullagh again. Stiff jab there, just catching Najib.
Well, he's been with Ryan Rhodes for 3 years now. Najib, who of course was one of the great successes of Winco Bank in that glorious period back in the late 90s in particular. So quarter-final number 2 is between Jazza Dickens and Carlos Ramos. And Dickens it was who chose Ramos. He was doing the picking, and he explained it to me, saying that he likes boxing southpaws. He's a southpaw himself, and that isn't always the case, for the simple reason that southpaws don't box that many southpaws either. There just aren't as many of them as there are orthodox fighters. So that was another thing that just raised a few eyebrows. That at Repton earlier in the week.
Yeah, good movement there from McCullagh, spinning out, getting into the middle of the ring.
Corners, 10 seconds. Second out, round 5.
So into the 5th, they're scheduled for 10 quarter-finals of the Golden Contract. Left hand there was just smothered slightly from McCullagh, left to the body. Kind of fell into the same category, just didn't quite have the room there to make it count. If you're Ryan Rhodes, what are you telling Najib? Just that he needs to keep the faith, keep doing what you're doing, and just believe that it will start to have an impact.
Yeah, I think he's got to keep the pressure on McCullagh, keep trying to look for that straight right hand into the chest. Double up on the jab, try and bring the right hand in after the jab. Don't reach for the right hand to the head. You can throw the straight right hand to the body, but don't reach for it to the head because you're getting picked off. A bit more head movement, more feints. You know, there's a lot of pressure coming from Najib, but it's not educated pressure. He's just walking in, getting picked up. There's no head movement. He needs more feints. McCullagh's just finding him far too easy to read, and the only question for McCullagh is can he keep the pace up? Is this pace getting to him? Doesn't seem like it is. He's the type of fighter that's always moving a lot, so I'd imagine he's well able to do this for the 10 rounds. He's been 10 rounds in his last 3 fights, so he's got that seasoning and that experience under his belt. And this is just, you know, one-way traffic here. He's picking Najib off.
That was a good 1-2 there, just landed in rapid succession. The right hand followed by the left. Started boxing at 12, McCullagh. Trained under Jerry Story at the Holy Family in Belfast, despite being from Derry. Won 8 national titles and a bronze at the European Seniors, and that's a difficult thing to do. All medals at major senior internationals are hard to come by. A bit clumsy there as he looked for the left hand, but moved straight onto the shoulder of Najib, so there was nothing he could really do about it.
Yeah, I can well imagine that McCullagh would have been a nightmare over 3 rounds, or if he was boxing back in the day at the 4-2s. But I think he's winning easily here tonight, but if he is going to progress on in his career, I think he needs to learn to settle down a bit, plant his feet, driving some hard shots. You're not going to have, not everyone you fight is going to be as easy to hit as what Najib is. Najib very aggressive, but no head movement, no feints, not much thought of coming in, easy to pick off. So, well, McCullagh's, yeah, nice left hook there from McCullagh, but I'd like to see, keep repeating myself, but I'd like to see him driving some power shots, work the body, try and take the wind out of the sails of Najib. Good right hand there from Najib.
Well, closing stages of round 5, ticking up towards the halfway stage of the fight. All these quarter-finals scheduled for 10, and McCullagh is making fairly comfortable work of this so far, showing off his boxing skills that we knew that he had. Najib is trying to bring the heat as best he can. Let's go down ringside. Andy Scott's with Jamie Conlon.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Jamie, how are you seeing this one so far?
It's just playing in the Tyrone McCullagh's hands. He's picking Najib off very, very at ease, and it's looking like a shutout win.
To put it into context, you were probably the most entertaining fighter, coming out of Ireland. Every fight was a Fight of the Year contender. Why is it sometimes that styles just don't gel?
Well, with Tyrone McCullagh, stylistically, he's a nightmare for everyone in this competition. He does everything unorthodox. In textbook, he does everything wrong, but it turns out right in his favour. These are the styles of mixed didn't work out well.
What can Ryan Rhodes say to Razaq Najib in that corner just to fire him up or try something different?
Well, Tyrone does one thing that anyone can exploit. He's pulling with his chin out very high, so Ryan has got to tell Najib to close the distance very close and stay on his chest.
Thanks, Jamie.
I think that's pretty much exactly what Ryan Rhodes was telling Razaq Najib as he sent him back out there for another round, and there's no lack of willing here from the Sheffield man. He's continuing, as I say, to get onto the front foot, to try and close that gap, to get in closer, to work away, to rough him up. McCullagh just hasn't really allowed it to happen. That's a good example of what Jamie Conlon was talking about as he threw the left hand off the back foot there, McCullagh. That chin did come up in the air. And you mentioned yourself, Matt, he's got that kind of old school amateur style, in and out, up on the toes, land a couple of shots, get back out again.
Yeah, the type of body you're going to get to in the later round. You want him to slow down. At the minute, he's covering so much of the ring. His movement, upper body movement as well is pretty decent. He's got that straight left down the middle, so you've got to be careful coming in, but you've got to just try and chip away, try and get closer round by round, work the body, try and take the wind out of his sails, take his legs away. Najib's certainly forcing a pace, cannot fault his effort. Like I say, a bit more head movement, a bit more feints, try and work the body a bit more.
He's getting to the point now, Najib, where he's got to start winning rounds. He absolutely must start winning rounds. Left hand on the inside there from McCullagh, and that might play into McCullagh's hands. Lead right hand there from Najib did get through, but the more he tries to open up himself, the more it might suit McCullagh, because there'll be more openings for him. But we are reaching that point where he needs to throw caution to the wind a bit, just to get in the books, get something on the board.
Well, he's getting a bit closer here in this 6th round. He's landed a couple of nice body shots, Najib, and he's pushing McCullagh up. And McCullagh wants to keep it at range, wants the straight shots down the middle, constantly moving. Najib's just not been able to pin him down, and at range, he doesn't have the technical ability really to land these shots.
Good upper body movement there from McCullagh, just slipping and sliding on the ropes, rolling one way then the other, staying away from those punches of Najib. It's a frustrating night for Razaq Najib so far.
Very frustrating. You've got a guy who he can't pin down, he's not really been able to land anything, he can't find any rhythm. Again, McCullagh lands a 1-2 down the middle. McCullagh very awkward, very frustrating to watch. Difficult style.
Launching that left hand and then just moves in behind it there, McCullagh. Najib just coupling him around the side of the head with a couple of hooks in close. Make others believe things that weren't really true. Those kinds of mind games are always a possibility. So let's have a look at Matt Macklin's scorecard through 6 rounds in the opening stages of round 7. And it's a shutout so far for Tyrone McCullagh, and I wouldn't argue with that. Just signs for me towards the end of the 6th round that he might just be beginning to slow down a little bit.
Well, he hasn't stopped moving, Andy, for the 6 rounds previous, so you'd imagine that he is going to slow down at some point. And Najib hasn't been deterred at all. He's still coming, ploughing forward, trying his hardest, giving it everything he's got. Starting to land the odd shot now, but not really having any effect with it. McCullagh still moving, ties him up there when they come together. I mean, as he progresses on in this tournament, McCullagh, assuming he wins these next few rounds and wins the fight, his lack of power would be a worry for me. He doesn't really seem to carry much power, and he doesn't, to be honest, fight like someone that's even trying to land anything with any significance. He doesn't plant his feet. He's looking to move out even before he lands his shot. His feet never stay still, and all his fights are going to be outpointing guys. But he's, you know, against the better fighters, you've got to get their respect. You've got to be able to deter them, because Najib hasn't been deterred, not once. He's coming forward with the same intention. He hasn't been hurt at all. Good body shot there from Najib.
Najib just looking to try and let that right hand go, left hand on the inside to the body there from McCullagh. Wide right hand from Najib, didn't land, then looks to try and get on the jab. Nice 1-2 there from McCullagh. Jab set it up nicely, the left was half blocked. Good jab again there from McCullagh, and he's landed that enough. As Najib's come forward, he's just managed to bounce that head back. It sets him off balance. As you say, man, it's never really hurt him, but it's just disrupted him in everything that he's tried to do.
Yeah, and frustrated him, and you know, he's getting, I'd say he's getting very frustrated in there, Najib. He's trying everything. That probably a good body shot there from McCullagh. Again, a nice 1-2 down the middle from McCullagh. Yeah, frustrating for Najib. He's trying his hardest, he's giving it everything. He just doesn't have the technical ability really to trap or to set traps for McCullagh. McCullagh comfortably able to pick him off.
And again, McCullagh just using the outskirts of the ring, just skating around, skimming the ropes.
Lands a solid left cross down the middle as well. But again, doesn't hurt Najib, but it's a solid, clean shot. Clearly winning the round.
Bit of blood coming from the nose there of Razaq Najib as well.
Yeah, there's a stiff jab as he spins off. Yeah, jab, cut, right hook, spins off, gets off the ropes. I mean, he's the technically, tactically superior fighter by far. Najib applying a lot of pressure, but it's not effective pressure.
Well, there's Tyrone getting his hands wrapped. Jorge Rubio insisted on going to have a look at Ryan Walsh getting his wrapped earlier on, and the games between them continue because there were exchanges at the weigh-in yesterday. Walsh was tight at the weigh-in. He arrived at the very last second almost, jumped on the scales, was called 9 stone dead. Jorge Rubio objected, saying that he was flickering just above the weight. It's what you'd expect an experienced trainer to do. The Walsh team bit a little bit. There were some words said, and Jorge Rubio, I think, has just chosen to try and continue that this evening. He saw that he was able to get a reaction quite easily, so why not try to get inside the opponent's head if you can. And it's an interesting fight, that, a very interesting fight. There's not that much to go on with Tyrone, to be perfectly honest. There's plenty to go on with Ryan Walsh, but the Cuban picked Walsh, which again was fascinating. Into the 8th round here, and Tyrone McCullagh with a left hand to the body there. Did just hold his feet a little bit more that time and look to try and sink that one in. Najib continues to come forward. The effort has been there right from the very start. Nobody could ever criticise him for that. Ryan Rhodes will know that this man has given everything that he could, but in McCullagh, well, you're fighting a kind of a will-o'-the-wisp. It's like trying to hit smoke at times.
Yeah, and he's just getting picked up here, Najib, but he's doing the best he can. He's coming forward, he's looking for the straight right hand to the body. Doesn't really have the skills or the technical ability to set more up or to disguise it. It's quite crude, a bit novice-y, and he's getting picked off.
Nice 1-2 there from McCullagh. It's a good left to the body as well. Just took a little step back and then launched it down the middle.
Box is very much like an amateur McCullagh, just looking to score points really. He's not digging any body shots in, he's not looking to stand in range or slip or slide shots. He's very much in and out with the feet. His defence, he does roll under some nice shots, but even when he does, he rolls under and he gets back into the centre of the ring. He never looks to slip and counter or roll and come up with a hook. He's doesn't punch off the head movement, very amateurish with his nice 1-2 down the middle.
But accurate punching again, and then that single straight backhand gets through. Well, boxing's about hitting and not getting hit, and he's given us a good display of that tonight. More blood coming from the nose now of Razaq Najib. Good stiff jab followed by the left there too, and these are beginning to have a bit of a cumulative effect now on Razaq Najib. He looks a little bit weary in there, the blood coming, the nose just thickening a bit. There's that damage to the corner of the left eye. It's good performances from Tyrone McCullagh. Can't ask any more of him, the fighter who's about to take a seat. He stepped in at short notice, up to 10 rounds at short notice. But in terms of skill, there has been too much of a difference. Ryan Rhodes just having a look over his shoulder there. It made me wonder for a second if he was thinking about calling this, because I just don't see any way that Razaq Najib could win the fight from here. But Ryan Walsh getting those hands wrapped, and Jorge Rubio is paying close attention to this, I believe. But this is when you need to lock in, no matter who's in the room. This is when you need to really zone in and concentrate on the matter in hand. And Ryan Walsh has been doing this too long to allow his concentration, to allow his focus to be disturbed by any kind of games that are being played by the opposition. So into the 9th. Kind of microcosm of the fight there, really. The last 5 seconds or so, Najib with a bit of frustration etched across his face, just chasing Tyrone McCullagh, who stays out of his way really quite easily.
Yeah, he's won every round, McCullagh, and easily won them. Clearly outpointing, outlanding Najib constantly coming forward. Great effort from him, but Bitten obviously doesn't have the technical skills or ability to pin McCullagh down, or even to sort of punch with him and catch him at the same time. He's not really having much success. He's great effort, but it's not translating into success, and punches landed. McCullagh easily outboxing him, but I do feel McCullagh, as he moves forward into the semi-finals and the final, if he gets there, his lack of power or his lack of willingness to plant his feet and drive in some hard shots might see him come unstuck as he goes in against better opponents.
But there's a good straight left hand there from McCullagh, who takes a little bit of a tumble there. No knockdown called by the referee. I think he just got his feet in the tangle, maybe got his foot caught slightly on one of the advertising Toblerones. Moving into the final minute of round 9.
Yeah, nice jab from McCullagh. I mean, he's been so dominant in terms of punches landed, but he hasn't really been able to break the spirit of Najib, who's still ploughing forward, still looking for it. That's a nice shot there. But, as he progresses on, there's a knockout bonus here too. McCullagh, when you're well on top like this, you'd like to see him stand his ground a little bit more, not to trade off, not get into a fight, that's not his style, but plant his feet, try and get some power into these shots, try and deter Najib from just walking forward. because, you know, if he goes up the levels, and then you've got guys who can apply this pressure, have got a bit more finesse about them.
That's a good left hand off the back foot again there from McCullagh. It's absolutely valid what you're saying there, but I have enjoyed this. I have enjoyed watching him box here, Tyrone McCullagh.
Yeah, and you can bet your bottom dollar that he does plenty of road work. He's done about 15 miles in there tonight.
Well, plenty of people are inside tonight, plenty of interesting observers. And there is the former WBO super featherweight champion of the world, Barry Jones. Always enjoy listening to Barry. Funded at BT Sport, of course. I worked alongside him at Box Nation for a good while. He's terrific company. Barry's not a bad example, actually. We were talking to him at length a few weeks ago. He described his style as effective, that he would do just enough, but he wasn't somebody who could really put his opponents away.
No, hit and not get hit, no power, wasn't the most exciting to watch, was never going to be a TV blockbuster, but, you know, he was, you know, he got in there with Vasilino Freitas as well. Massive puncher he was, huge lightweight, maybe the biggest lightweight you've ever seen.
Final round.
So into the 10th and final round, touch of gloves between these two. And Tyrone McCullagh is 3 minutes away from booking his place in the semi-finals of the Golden Contract. And Razaq Najib, who wasn't expecting to be boxing in this quarter-final until around about lunchtime yesterday, he's just got to throw the kitchen sink at him in this 10th round and see if he can just land one and turn this around. It's unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a nightmare to fight, McCullagh. Very awkward, very difficult to pin down. Constantly on his toes, and he's got good fitness. I mean, he's done this for the 10 rounds. He's constantly fainting, twitching. Boxes pretty scared, which makes him hard to hit.
I remember Jamie Conlon telling me on the podcast earlier in the week that McCullagh is a natural athlete in terms of his gas tank, that he ran a half marathon once in a couple of, well, in a pair of just kind of normal trainers, not running trainers. Had a KFC that morning and went out and blew most of the field away and finished third.
It doesn't shock me, I think he's done half a marathon tonight.
It's the way he goes about it, and he's landed plenty too. You can look at the face there of Razaq Najib, and the accuracy from McCullagh has been good. He's landed that jab, he's landed that left hand off the back of it.
I mean, McCullagh's won every round, every second of the round, really. But credit to Najib, he's took this at short notice, he's put an awful lot into it. He's shown great spirit, he's never stopped trying, not for 1 second. You know, getting the head boxed off him really here in this last round. Not blood coming from the nose. He's cut over the eye and he's still ploughing forward. And at 25 years of age, you'd like to see him get another shot or something, because he really is putting a lot into this.
Ryan Rhodes was saying just that about him when we spoke to him last night, that he has to kick him out of the gym, that he's always in there, and that's why he's been able to take these opportunities when they've come his way. It was fairly short notice against Carlos Ramos in the summer, I understand, but he stepped up and he took that, and he covered the distance over 12 rounds. And right towards the end here, final minute, and he's still marauding forward, looking to try and land something, but he just hasn't been able to.
No, there's been too much of a gulf in class, really, in skills, in technical ability. You can see the pedigree, the amateur pedigree in McCullagh. Whereas Najib, loads of effort, but pretty raw, pretty novice-y. And he's been picked up and outboxed.
Heads almost coming together there as McCullagh just landed a left and rubbing together on the inside a bit, and Michael Alexander just having a quick word about that. Final seconds of our first quarter-final at featherweight in the Golden Contract, and he's still going. Najib still chasing. McCullagh just pot-shotting with that left hand on the move. There goes the bell, and a touch of gloves between the two, but it's a comfortable win for Tyrone McCullagh, who will progress to the semi-finals. He thought he was going to be up against Carlos Araujo of Mexico. In the end, it turned out to be Razaq Najib, and he went about this business the way that he always does. He's awkward, he's skillful, he's difficult to hit. He was accurate tonight, he landed plenty. and this is all about getting through to the next stage, and he's done that, and he's done that without sustaining any real damage either. He was barely caught, Matt, during the course of that fight. There's no cuts, there's no facial damage, nothing, and as you say, he's obviously the kind of fighter who can do 10 rounds like that, no problem at all. So really, that's the perfect possible outcome for him.
Yeah, no cuts, no bruises, no facial damage. Might have a few blisters, but definitely no facial damage, no miles on the clock. And you know what, I think he's one of those guys that can just do that for the 10 rounds, and that's his style, that's the way he fights, and he's going to be a nightmare for someone, really. You're going to have to pin him down, work the body, try and take the legs away from him, because he's the sort of person that, you know, you're going to have to build on and come on strong in the second half of the fight, but because he's not going to stop moving, he's going to be moving all night long, and he's going to be a difficult opponent.
Well, that's the scene at York Hall. The two fighters have been gathered into the centre of the ring by referee Michael Alexander, who will not be required here to give a casting vote. The referee is in that role in the event of a draw returned by the 3 scoring judges at ringside. This is a tournament, of course, so we can't have a draw in terms of how the competition works. Should there be a draw, just so you know, it will go down as a draw on the fighters' records, but the referee will give the casting vote for the purposes of the tournament as to who progresses. We won't be needing that here. So let's get the scores from Terry Cabinet.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Howard Foster scores the bout 97-93. Judge McDonald scores the bout 98-92. And Judge Williams scores the bout 96-94. All in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, Tyrone McCullagh!
Tyrone McCullagh gets the win. The judges giving Najib more credit for the pressure that he brought than we did. 7 rounds to 3, 8 rounds to 2, 6 rounds